Hello, good evening, if you're watching it in the UK or in Europe and it's the evening, or good afternoon if you are in the US. I am live on a Monday today and probably for the next few weeks as well. I've got a few things coming up on Thursdays, so I've switched my day around. So hopefully you're able to join me, whether it's live or if you're going to watch me on catch up later on. Please do give me a thumbs up if you're watching, or a little heart, and to let me know you're out there. And please feel free to comment at any time and maybe let me know where you're watching from, or let me know if you have any questions. Today I'm going to be talking about something I call embrace the clumsiness, which is to do with creating a regular practice habit. So if you're watching, and I can see a couple of you on there already now, hi Stephanie and Carla, if you are watching and you've done the challenge with me, either you've just finished doing the challenge that I've just done now, or perhaps you've done the challenge with me over the past year, you'll know this one. So embrace the clumsiness. It's one of my favourite habit tips that I put in the 14-day challenge, because I think it's really important for us to recognise when we're trying to build a practice habit or just learn to do anything new, that it's never going to be easy. So we think that because we really want to do something, we want to practice regularly, we want to do a regular dance practice, or we want to get down the gym, or we want to do some yoga at home, or whatever it is, even if it's something completely different like practicing a musical instrument or something along those lines. Although we want to do it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy. So it's really important to understand this, and it will help us to stay motivated and continue working on developing it even when it gets hard. Unfortunately, our brains are out there to scupper us. I've done some I did some research recently and found that actually if we hesitate when we're going to do something, it actually sends a stress signal to our brains, which means that it thinks that there's something going to harm you, so it actually puts things in place to stop you doing the thing in order to protect you. So it's really important to try not to hesitate when you're going to go and do your practice or whatever, but that's definitely one of the things that I think can stop us. And we're also fighting against the idea of the short-term fulfillment versus the long-term fulfillment. So in the short term, you can stay on the sofa and keep watching Netflix, or you can stay in bed for a little while longer, versus the long term benefit that you get from actually maybe doing a movement practice. You get better at dancing, your body feels healthier, and that kind of against the short term and long term discomfort. You've got a short term discomfort of having to get out of bed earlier to do your practice, or pulling yourself up off the sofa, versus the long term issues of your health basically deteriorating if you don't look after your body, or perhaps not being able to reach your goals if you're looking to improve in dance or in whatever other skill it is. So you find that if you have to have a short-term discomfort of doing the practice in order to have the long-term benefit, and try and go away from the short-term I'm getting confused now, the short-term benefit, which leads to ultimately long-term discomfort. And that is before you've even taken into account your family and your pet and your own health, and maybe some emergencies that might happen, or something that happens in your job. All of these things that come along to interrupt any plans that we may have of having a movement practice, and we just can't often anticipate what's going to go on. I wanted to share with you today some of my recent experiences with my own practice over the last couple of weeks. I've been trying to practice dance quite hard, and obviously maintain my fitness and flexibility and strength, because we've had a big event in the UK. Infusion Emporium was weekend before last, and then coming up here in Brighton at the end of end of November, we've got a Cato. So my girls are coming from Dublin and the US, and we've got a big event here, and then we're going to Dublin the weekend afterwards to do it all over again. So I'm really focused at the moment on making sure my skills are up up to the best they can be, really. And of course, things come along to scupper that. A week before IE, I had a back injury, which put me out of action practicing for about 3 or 4 days. Thank goodness it wasn't longer, but I really had to take a moment to take a step back and realise that it is what it is. I've got this injury, I'm going to have to sit down for a while and not do any practice, and hopefully it will heal. Which is a really challenging thing for any of you out there who are used to moving regularly. And then we had IE itself, and I know what it's like to go to these festivals. Obviously, I've been to a ton of different dance events, and I try and keep my regular practice going while I'm there, but it's not always going to be the same practice that I do at home. So I always try and plan in a little bit of my regular strength and flexibility and mobility so that I'm keeping that up to date without it being a full practice. And then because I was performing, I would run a couple of the dances I was going to do and leave it pretty much as that, because then obviously you've got dance workshops, you've got performances, you've got all of the socializing and everything that involves energy around that. So I'd made a plan for that. What I hadn't planned for was the week afterwards, and I had the lovely Canadians Sue and Dominique and Inga as well here from Germany, Canada, and I hadn't really planned for continuing and keeping things going while they were here. Sue and Dominique were staying in my spare room, which is also my studio, and usually when I have people staying I do my practice in the lounge, and it's not perfect but I keep it going. But this time it was, I think, after Infusion Emporium and after we had a few late nights as well, as it goes. You're hanging out, having a good time, and those girls were on vacation. So I didn't really manage to maintain my practice during that, which part of me is feeling like, oh, I should have like planned a little bit, even if it wasn't that long. I should have put in a little bit here and there, taken 5 minutes to do some strengthening or whatever. And I'm trying to like let that go and realise that it is what it is, and we can move on from there. It's never going to be perfect, particularly when these things come along, and you don't want to be so regimented in your life that you're like, I have to do my practice, I'm not going to stay up and have fun with these people that are visiting. Do you know what I mean? It's finding that balance. And at the end of the day, we still had workshops, so I was still dancing, and Inga was doing a dance 365 challenge, which we all got involved with as well, so there was a little bit of movement going on there. So it's really key to, like, even when your practice gets messy, look for those things that you're still doing in there. I think most people go to a regular weekly dance class. That's, you know, your movement practice. Can you get off the bus a few steps earlier, a few stops earlier, and walk the rest of the way home, or take the dog for a longer walk, or something else that you can incorporate in while perhaps you're not doing your prescribed practice, to keep things going, keep things moving whilst things are a little bit disrupted. It's really useful to have handy a couple of short workouts on YouTube or whatever, so that you can just stick them on your phone if perhaps you have a family emergency, or one of the kids needs something or needs picking up when you didn't expect them to be picked up, or I don't know, your boyfriend breaks his toe and goes into hospital or something along those lines. Maybe you have 5 minutes to spare and you can just quickly jump on a quick YouTube video and do that instead. And just the key is, and this is something that I'm really working on, which is why I wanted to share with you, is to accepting that it's never going to be perfect, and even after many years of trying to have a regular practice, it's never going to be perfect. So embrace the clumsiness is basically that's where this comes from. So I just wanted to give you a 4 takeaways for this video, and I'm just going to check my notes. So just knowing that your practice is going to be imperfect. You might have a good week, you might have a bad week. Just accept that whatever it is you're doing, you just keep working on it, and it's never going to be the ideal practice that we always want. Number 2, make it easy for yourself by having short practices handy that you can easily get to. They're easily linked to YouTube on your phone, or on your desktop, or on your computer, or whatever it is you use, or just something like a mental routine that you know that you can quickly do in 5 minutes, so that even if you've got time for nothing else, you've got something that you can do that day. And if you haven't been able to do your specific practice, what have you done? Have you done an extra walk? Have you been able to, I don't know, do like 5 minutes of dancing around like a lunatic to your favourite song, or something along those lines, that perhaps it's not the practice you wanted to do, but you have still been going, you have been maintaining it. And finally, when you do fall out of your routine, identify the moment when you can jump back into it as well, so that you've got a focus point and you're like, okay, I'm going to start again here, and we're going to get back on the wagon again, and we're going to keep on moving with the practice. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I just wanted you guys to know, because I've been talking to a lot of you, particularly in the challenge, about maintaining your practice, and particularly now you've finished the challenge, those of you who finished yesterday, keeping things going afterwards. Just remember, like, if you've kind of got the momentum of the 14 days going and then you finish today because you haven't got anything behind you, then, you know, don't worry about it. Just get back on, stick a video on, just get back on and do it as soon as you can, rather than leaving it longer and longer and longer. So I think that's all I have to say this evening. I didn't see any questions come up, but if anyone has one for me, please feel free to drop it in the comments. Do tag me so I can see it, particularly if you are commenting after the live video. And do give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. Give me a little heart symbol, and feel free to share it with any friends or any colleagues who you think might benefit from this. So I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.